Okay, want to take care of some business right now by welcoming back to the show former state rep Steve Bloom, who is one of the key figures at the Commonwealth Foundation. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, RJ. I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well. I hope the family is as well.
Family's doing great, and happy Good Friday and happy Easter to you, RJ.
Same as well. Same to you, no doubt about it. I'm glad to have you on today, that's for sure. So there's a headline in a release from the Commonwealth Foundations that says something to the effect of Pennsylvanians are in dire need of tax reform. Could you put that in lay terms for us? What does that mean?
Sure, and you know we think about a lot. We spend a lot of time on national issues, right? Many people are paying attention to all the constant change and things happening in D.C. And I think sometimes we forget that in terms of our own wallets and pocketbooks, the most important activity taking place is at the state capitol, not in Washington, but in Harrisburg. And Commonwealth Foundation, we exist as a watchdog for hardworking Pennsylvania taxpayers and families. And RJ, the dogs are barking. The dogs are barking. We are looking at the Pennsylvania budget, which is the deadline is already creeping up. It's about 2 months away right now. And what the governor has proposed would create a massive new increase on taxes for Pennsylvania consumers to the tune of $2,000 per family of four. So we're looking at a fiscal problem, a structural deficit that the governor seems to be evading. It's $4.8 billion in the proposal that he's put forth. And there's two ways we can get there. We could either get there by cutting spending, which would be the right way, or by raising taxes, which we fear is going to be what is pushed through Governor Shapiro and his initiatives to raise revenue from things that don't even exist yet. For example, part of the revenue he's proposing to fund his budget so that it's balanced is revenue from taxing of legal use cannabis. Well, that is not happening in Pennsylvania. That may happen in the future someday. It may not, but it's not happening in this budget cycle. And that can't be part of the revenue that we rely on to try to claim that the budget is sound and balanced. And what's going to happen if the governor doesn't face up to the idea that he can't do these things, he can't just raise taxes and ignore the deficit and hope it goes away. We've got to speak up.
Well, first of all, I want to get to marijuana. I find that among your average person, the image is, yeah, it's going to pass. Someday soon. They don't know the specifics. They're not thinking about this budget, but they think that it's going to pass. I tell them, no, I don't see marijuana passing in this state, in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, for maybe a couple of 2-3 cycles to come, given that the Republicans have the Senate and are pretty conservative about it, don't you think?
Yeah, that's right. And that's how a lot of this, we're trying to sort out the reality from the hype when it comes to the Shapiro budget proposal. And there's all the hype on things that sound fun or easy or new as ways to raise taxes. But basically, the state relies on your personal income tax, the corporate net income tax, the basic tax structure that exists. But what the governor's doing is essentially raising taxes by imposing, for example, new requirements for natural gas and energy drilling that end up creating a 30% spike in energy costs because of all the regulatory oversight the governor's requiring and his constant threats to increase new energy taxes, whether it's the RGGI program that's currently being litigated in court, or whether it's his PACER and his other new ideas that he's claiming as ways to raise revenue, when in fact all they are is energy taxes. They're taxes that make it so expensive for Pennsylvania consumers to buy and use electricity.
Well, all I know is my gas, meaning natural gas prices, just keep going up. I get rate increases from UGI all the time. We're told we're the Saudi Arabia of natural gas. It seems to me it ought to be flowing cheaply in Pennsylvania.
It sure ought to be. In fact, it ought to be flowing across the country easily because of Pennsylvania, because Pennsylvania is right up there with Texas as one of the leading natural gas producers in the country. And yet, because of the way we've been shackled by state government and the imposition by the governor of all these threats of new costs and expenses and regulatory problems for drillers, we're not able to compete as we should be. We have enough gas here in Pennsylvania for decades to come to fuel the entire national energy demand, but we're not able to use it because of the obstacles that the state government has been raising unnecessarily.
So, listen, pardon the phrase I'm using, but I'm sure you war-gamed this. Where do we end up at the end? Where do you think that we're going to be with his budget and taxes?
If Governor Shapiro would get his way, get his full $51.5 billion budget without the way he wants it, without for example, like you said, the state Senate, which is Republican controlled, standing up for the average taxpayer, we would simply end up in a place where we have drained the fund balance that we had that coming out of COVID, there was actually a surplus.
Right.
That would be drained. The rainy day fund would be drained. We would be back to being a state with poor credit ratings, hard for us to borrow for bond issues and those sorts of things that ultimately make it even more expensive for Pennsylvania taxpayers. So we've got to stand up now. We can't let him just get that done, drain the rainy day fund, drain the reserve fund, and then say, oh gosh, there's a problem. We're going to have to raise taxes.
Well, and the thought often by those who would like to raise taxes is, what's a little more in the personal income tax? That's kind of Pennsylvania is so low to begin with, blah, blah, blah.
We boil it down to that number of, if the governor gets his way, it's going to inevitably lead to a $2,000 per family tax on every Pennsylvanian. So if you have an average family of four, is going to have to pay $2,000 more per year because of what Governor Shapiro is trying to do. So we've got to stop him from doing these things now and bring the numbers down to a place where they're sustainable and they start to actually increase the rainy day fund, not drain it.
So, Steve Bloom from the Commonwealth Foundation, what is it that is the call to action here?
Call to action, of course, talk to your own state representatives and senators if you feel like you want to protect your wallet and that of your neighbors here in Pennsylvania, and also to go to CommonwealthFoundation.org, to our website. We've got all the statistics, all the information you need to make a great argument with your friends and neighbors. We've really got to make sure we don't let this go under the radar, again, because so much is happening on the national stage. This is important stuff happening here in Pennsylvania over the next 2 months. Pay attention. Keep your don't be shy about reaching out to your lawmakers, letting them know where you stand on the Shapiro tax increase proposal.
All right. Well, listen, regards to the family and happy Easter. He is risen. He is risen indeed. You have a good weekend.
RJ.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.